Welcome to Tales on the Towpath, the podcast where every mile tells a story.
We're two runners who spend a lot of time out here on the C&O Canal Towpath, talking about training, racing, and everything that happens between the miles.
From early morning runs to the stories that keep us moving.
This is where endurance meets inspiration, one step, one tail at a time.
So lace up and join us on the path, because every trail has a story, and this one's ours.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Adam Lowe.
And I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Katie Lowe.
Well, hey, guys, we have not one, but two special guests with us today because two is better than one. We have Kelsey and Karrah with us today. I also forgot to mention that it is their birthday. So happy birthday. I was in shock when Katie told me that, and I couldn't believe that you two share a birthday. So that is awesome. They are the Weaver twins, not the Weaver tins. So don't be mad at them when you come down the trail at JFK. So thank you for joining us, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Is that
Okay,
my
baby, yes, you're up. We talked about this.
Okay, well, Adam said he forgot to mention it, but it was like the first thing he said. I do want to say happy birthday to ladies. The Weaver twins, Karrah and Kelsey, are actually my former students. I taught them many years ago, and they have become very good running buddies of mine. Actually, the FAFO group that I talk about quite often on here, I consider them to be founding members of that group. So it's really exciting to have you guys on today. Karrah and Kelsey, I will admit, when I had you in class, and I've told you this many times before, I could not tell you apart. You were the Weaver twins to me, so that's why you're still the Weaver twins to this day. But for people meeting you for the first time, who's who, and what's one thing that people always mix up about you? Karrah, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I'm definitely taller. If you're just looking at us from afar, you can tell by our height. I'm taller and I have more tattoos. So that's another indicator.
And I'm Kelsey, so I'm the shorter one, and I have less tattoos. So most people just look at our legs. Karrah has more tattoos on her legs, so I see people looking at our legs, and then they know that I'm Kelsey.
And sometimes you guys dress alike, but
Yeah.
like on runs, they really confuse me. We'll be on the trail together and then we'll hit the towpath and they'll switch places on the towpath and I'll start talking to one, like, because I think I could be messing this up, but I think I spent most of the trail with Kelsey one day and then they switched positions. And so I was with Karrah on the towpath and I start talking to Karrah like she's Kelsey. And then one of them answers me like, "What are you talking about?" And then I was so thrown off. So anyway,
That does.
thanks for joining
It's
us.
We don't make it easy. We wear very similar outfits
Yeah.
a lot of the times.
And your hair the same way a lot of the time, not always, but anyway.
We've shown up in the same outfits.
Unplanned.
Adam and I do that too. So
Oh yeah, we dress alike on purpose though. I do it. I do anyway. I find the same race T-shirt that she's wearing, and then I put it on just to be funny. But
people don't mix
Uh,
us up very often though, but
well, that's because they look at our legs. Hey, so what is the best part about being a twin in the running world? Karrah, why don't you answer first?
Yeah, so I think the best part about having a twin that also runs is we literally always have somebody to run with. So not only are we twins, but we are around the same pace. So it would be one thing, if we were running two different races or if we were two different paces, but we can do almost all of our workouts together. So that's really great that we can do majority of our runs together, but also how comfortable we are with each other. So, when you run with somebody and you have to be on your best behavior, like somebody that you meet for the first time and you're running with them, you have to be really polite and make sure you don't annoy them. We don't have that. We are just ourselves. It doesn't matter. If we get on each other's nerves, we just tell each other and then we just are like, okay, we'll just be quiet for the next few miles or, something like that. So there's no awkward silences. We could run 26 miles without saying a word to each other, but we could also run 26 miles while talking about absolutely nothing for the entire time. And we always agree on the same playlist. So that's a big win.
Kelsey, how about you? Same answer or
Yeah, we
Yeah.
always have something to talk about. We will text each other and say, "Okay, these are the things I want to talk about on our run," and we'll cover those things, and then we have 20 other things to talk about. And we can run for literally 20 plus miles and talk the entire time, and then we get in the car and we call each other on the way home. Or we get home and we call each other because we're not done talking yet. And I can remember a couple of times I was training for a marathon a few years ago, and she was only training for half. I can't remember. But I was doing a long run in my neighborhood, and I had her in my AirPods. Like, she was talking to me on the phone the whole time while I was running. So we don't even have to run together. We can just, I can run and call her, or she can be running and I'll call her and talk to her.
That's that's fantastic. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and go back to earlier in your childhood. Growing up, were you guys competitive with each other in sports or in running?
Nope.
No.
I say that we're problematically non-competitive with each other, with ourselves, and with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Like, somebody will pass me and I'm just like, "Good job. You're doing great." But no, so we grew up doing gymnastics and cheerleading like through, I think, middle
Middle
school.
school.
And then we didn't do any sports or anything like that in middle school, and it was just kind of, we just kind of happened to stumble into running.
We were in the band in high
Yeah.
school.
We were in marching band. So no, we have never been competitive, and there really isn't any competition between us.
No. Which is nice.
There's no bad blood between the two of you or anything like
No.
that. You just
Nope.
That's crazy.
So you guys mentioned not doing sports in middle school. How did you get into running? I mean, okay, I already know the answer to this question. I taught them in high school, but so I know you you got your start in high school.
Mhm.
What led you to that, and then how did it progress from there, I suppose?
So we did not grow up running at all. We didn't grow up around runners. Our parents didn't run when we were younger. They started running later once we started running. But we didn't even run, middle school gym class. You have to do the mile. We didn't even run that. I mean, we walked with our friends. And going into our freshman year of high school, we had a friend who said that she was going to join cross country. And I mean, cross country's distance, and we had never run before in our lives. And she said, "Do you want to join?" And I said, "Well, sure. I mean, if you are, then I will. My friend's doing it, so I guess I'll do it." And we were really lucky. So we went, as Katie knows, we went to Williamsport High School. And if you wanted to run cross country, you were on the team. It didn't matter if you ran a 1 hour 5K. You were on the JV team. So we we joined cross country, and I mean, we haven't stopped running since. Honestly, we just kind of fell into it, and it just stuck.
It just gotta happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say those cross country teams, when you guys were on them, were like 60 kids between the
It
boys
was
and the girls
big,
team.
yeah.
I came from a small school, like where I grew up. I had never seen anything like that. We might have had 60 total kids on the boys and girls track team. To have that many kids as a cross country team
It was
was
a
up
big
to me.
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really goes to the coaching. I'm not taking credit for that. Coach Buckman was very good at making it an inviting place, and
Yeah.
all are welcome. You got cut from another team, you can come. You just want to try running, you can come. Lord knows I coached the kids that were running 45-minute 5Ks. So you guys weren't running 45-minute 5Ks, but
For all of our listeners that couldn't see the video, both of them raised their hand at the same exact time and like told on themselves.
I think we were running 30 to 35-minute 5Ks in high school, and
Yeah.
that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, we were not runners.
We were lucky there was no cutoff on the team.
Yeah, we would have been cut off.
they were
didn't-
excellent math students, though, I can say that.
Thank you. We had great teachers. I don't think
So after high school, did either of you run in college, or you just like what did the after high school running look like?
So we ran all through high school, and then we went to HCC. So I didn't run my freshman year at HCC. It just never crossed my mind. And then going into a second year at HCC, I decided to join cross country. And so I did cross country and indoor track at HEC that year. And then Karrah ran the next year.
Yeah, I ran the following year. I took the 2 years that she was in HCC, I wasn't going to college, so I had some time off, and then she left HCC, and then I just happened to come in the next year, and I didn't even want to run cross country. I had no interest in that. But in high school, I pole vaulted, which was really fun. I was not great at it, but it was really fun. So going into HCC, I said, "Well, I don't want to run, but I would really like to be able to pole vault again." So I was in communication with the track coach there, and he said, "Well, in order to do track, you have to do cross country." So that happened. I ended up running cross country 2 years there, and then I transferred to University of Maryland. So I did not do track my second year there, but I did end up doing cross country my first year, and then indoor and outdoor my first year there.
All right, so it sounds like your early cross country days running was more just for fun and you were enjoying being on the team.
Mhm.
But obviously, we know at some point something clicked and you guys both started focusing more on improving your time. Tell us a little bit about that and how that transition happened.
Honestly, sounds crazy, but honestly, it wasn't until probably just a few years ago. I mean, we started running the JFK 50 in
2015.
2015, and we just kind of ran it. We did our own training. We would do long runs on Saturdays, but nothing really consistent or no training, like no structured training plan throughout the year. It wasn't until 2023 that I followed my first legitimate structured training plan. So it's pretty recent.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I didn't start. She ran a marathon in 2023 with a structured training plan, and I was like, that feels way too intimidating. I'm not ready for that. So I didn't start structured running until 2024.
So, did you have a coach for that or did you find something online?
Yes, so I think many times in the past, we would download the Hal Higdon training plans, print them out, put them on the fridge,
Yep.
follow maybe 1 or 2 days, and then forget about it,
Yeah.
move on with life. So, yes, in
2023.
2023, she had reached out to one of our good friends who is now our coach and has been our coach for multiple years now, multiple training sessions. And she's a very, very good runner and very knowledgeable. So, we reached out to her basically saying, like,
Help us.
yeah, can you help us? We'll do whatever you need us to do, but we would like to, be more serious about this. So, yes. So now we have very organized training plans. And honestly, I thought it would be more stressful to have that structure, but it's taken away all of the stress. I wake up and I do what the plan says, and then I go about my day.
To piggyback on Chris's question, can you tell me why like you made that the transformation, I guess, from like the everyday recreational runner to the JFK 50 and following a specific plan? Like, did something click? Did you see someone else do something, or you just decided you were ready to not be serious about it, but to be serious about it?
Yeah, I think, well, so I decided to do a marathon, spring marathon 2023, Salisbury, and that's when I finally decided to ask for a training plan and to ask our coach for help. And I think going into it, I knew that if I wanted to get a faster marathon time, because before that, I had never officially raced a marathon. I had ran marathons before, but I had never consistently trained and raced it. So I knew that if I wanted to get faster, that I needed to be more consistent and I needed someone to tell me what to do because it was many, many years that I did not know what to do. And I mean, it's such a learning, even now, it's such a learning process, to learn things about you as yourself as a runner. And our coach has been, I mean, she knows things about us before we even know. She knew our strengths and our weaknesses, and she really tailored our plans to that. And we were just like, okay, we trust you. And it's been phenomenal.
Very cool.
So we've heard about you guys. You train together as much as possible, and we've heard about pros and cons of training together. You said your coach knows your strengths and weaknesses. Do you think you guys understand each other's strengths and weaknesses so much that it changes how you train or it affects what you do within a training session?
So, like we said, she was the first one to point it out. She had realized even years ago, she had identified that Kelsey was better at the longer, more ultra distances, and that I was somehow a little bit better when we did more of like the speed workout. I don't even know how she figured that out, but she was right.
She knew it years before we did.
So now I think our most recent training plan we had the same one for JFK, but so our long runs on the weekends would be the same, but our Tuesday morning workouts, she kind of tailored them to Kelsey enjoys, like more like threshold for a longer time. I don't enjoy that. I would rather go to a track and do like 400s or 800s or something like that. That's just more fun to me at this point in my life. So she has been really good about structuring them for us.
And that, I will say, that does help us. So if on a Tuesday morning or a Saturday morning we have a workout and I know that, like, say we have 2 times 15 minutes at threshold, that's my wheelhouse. And so I'll kind of pace us for that. But then we have 400s and she leaves me in the dust. So I know, for threshold, I kind of lead. And then for the speed, she takes over.
Yeah, it just kind of changes who's in front, who's following who.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like an
And
unfair advantage to the rest of us.
Yeah, now that you say that.
And neither one of you, I'm gonna try to pin them against each other. Neither one of you find enjoyment out of being better than the other one at something.
No, not really.
No, honestly, sometimes when we've done hills together, and I think it's like 4 or 6 times 30-second hills, and we just sprint to the top. I do think it's funny.
It is a little bit of competition there.
A little bit. That's the only time, but only because I think it's kind of funny when I just like bing, straight past her. And I'm
Yeah.
like, see ya.
I mean, it's not even close. She just takes off, and I mean, I'm moving as fast as I possibly can, and I just can't keep up. It's comical to see her just fly past me, and I'm like, what in the world?
But I know there's absolutely no chance. Like I went to the rail trail a few weeks ago with her when she had a marathon focused workout. And I don't even remember how long the workout was, but I was like, okay, I can do this. This pace, I can keep this up. Halfway through it, I'm dying. And I'm like, I'm going to turn around early and I'm just going to wait for you. So I get a break. So it comes and goes.
Yeah. Sometimes if we're running a 5K, so Crumpy's 5K, I think it was last year, we weren't training specifically for that race, so we decided we would run together. And we said, if we're together at the end, let's just race. Like, let's bring it in. Let's see who can win. And we were together until mile 3, and I had a little bit left. I had a little bit of a kick, and I took off, and she did not. And she was just like, see ya. Like,
Go ahead. I'm not upset.
yeah, good for you.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And I was right on their heels the whole time.
Yeah, you were.
That was and there we go. Early in that race, I was like right beside you two, and you two were side by side. You could have been literally attached at the hip. And I started to pass you because I do stupid things like go full send in the first mile of a 5K and then regret it the rest of the time. So as soon as I saw you guys, I'm like, there's no way I should be ahead of them. And they race so smart, which I think we'll talk about later. I need to just chill. So I kind of just tucked in behind you guys and tried to follow, and go figure, it's my 5K PR still.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just have one more question, and I think we're going to get into the Eugene Marathon. So your, I guess, lack of rivalry sounds so innocent. It's like the perfect love story. But so what does support look like between you guys if one of you is injured or one of you is thriving? How do you support each other during those like tougher times?
I think that because that has happened where, one of us isn't doing the best and it always flips. So I think that helps knowing There's always going to be time when we both feel good, and there's always going to be time where one of us doesn't. I think just letting the other one vent, basically, like letting them feel all the emotions that come with not doing the best that you can at that time, just letting you vent, letting you kind of just throw your little temper tantrum and then move on and just let it happen.
And there have been times where, we both are training for a race, and then, I had a little sort of injury in spring of 2024, and I had to stop training for, I think it was a spring half marathon. And she was still training, and she went to Salisbury and did the half marathon, and I went with her and I crewed for her, and it was never, oh, woe is me, I can't run. I have to be here, but I can't run. Honestly, it's sometimes it's more fun to support and to be on the sideline and to be watching her run a PR. So even though I wasn't able to run, it's still fun to see her thrive.
I think we're going to switch gears a little bit. As I think you both know, I just recently also got back from Oregon
Yes.
and had just an amazing time out there. I love that state. I would go back in a heartbeat. Um, but I'd love to hear about your experience, not only, what you did while you were out there, but then we obviously need to get in and hear about this marathon. So why don't you walk us through that, and we'll let you take it away. You want to start, Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this. So, I absolutely loved Oregon. I had only been out there once before, about 8 months ago for work. I was there for 3 days in Portland, and I was like, "I just belong out here. Like, I need to go back." So, the Eugene Marathon has been on my bucket list for many, many years. It was one of those races where it comes up every spring, and it doesn't work out, maybe next year. And then after I got back from my work trip, I was like, I'm just gonna like, why not? I'm just gonna register, and we'll see what happens. So I was super, super excited to go out there. I mean, finishing on Hayward Field is as iconic as it gets in the track and field world. So when we went out there, I had been training really well. So our coach gave me a training plan, and my main goal going out there was just to have fun. It's a bucket list race. Of course, I want to do well, but I don't want to go all the way to Eugene, Oregon, and be focused so much on the race that I don't have fun. So, honestly, I thought I was gonna go out there by myself, but then she decided to tag along, and she did the 5Ks, and then she crewed for me for the race, which was awesome. But the race, I was super nervous going out there because, it's a long Chris, it's a long way to travel. You don't know how your legs are gonna respond to all that travel. So we got there on
Right.
Friday, and then we had all day we got there like 10 a.m. Friday, so we had most of the day. And then we had all day Saturday, and then the marathon was Sunday. And on Saturday, my legs felt so heavy. I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to run a marathon tomorrow. So I was really nervous about the race. But, race day comes and adrenaline takes over, and it was it was an amazing experience. I'm really, really glad that I finally went out there and I got to run the race, and I had a really good race, and also Karrah was there with me. Because like I said, I was planning on going out there by myself, but it's so much better to have a good race and have someone there with you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I was lucky. I was able to go out almost a week ahead of my race, so I had plenty of time for my legs to kind of adjust to the travel. I can imagine landing on Friday after being cramped in an airplane and then
Mhm.
just having Saturday to kind of stretch back out. That would be stressful for me.
So, Kelsey, at the start of the race, I know you said you wanted to have fun, but of course you
Mm.
still had a goal. So,
Yeah.
what was your goal going in? And at what point during the race did you feel like, okay, this PR is actually happening?
So, yeah, honestly, my a goal was to have fun. I didn't wanna go out there and, the marathon go so poorly that I didn't get to enjoy the experience. So, a goal was have fun, but of course, you have a secret goal. So, our coach had put in my half marathon time from Frederick Half Marathon last May, and she said, "Okay, this is your goal marathon pace, 7:54." And I said, "What?" Like, "I can't do that." And she said, "Just try it. Here's your training plan. See how it goes." And the training plan went, and this is why I say she's so good at what she does, and we're so lucky to have her because she knew what I could do before I knew it. I didn't even know until I crossed the finish line that I, actually did what I did. She knew months before I did. She said, "This is your pace and you can do it. Give it a try." So, the training plan went flawlessly. I started the training plan with the flu, so that wasn't great, but after that, all the workouts went really smoothly. I kept waiting for something to go wrong. And then on the start line, it was a chilly morning, which I prefer, so I was super excited about that. I knew that as long as I started conservatively, that from my training plan, from the training that I had put in, I knew that I could have a really good day. It just was a lot of travel, and you just never know what's gonna happen on race day. So, honestly, my goal going into it was at first, when I first started the training plan, was 3:40, and I thought that was that would have been a 7-minute PR, so I was like, "That's huge. That's almost unattainable." But as week by week, we went through the training plan and everything was going well. And I said, I mean, this could go really well. I could potentially be close to a 3:30. And so it wasn't until, like I said, crossing the finish line when I looked down at I knew my pace, my overall pace was good, but I didn't know, I started my watch about 30 seconds before I got to the start line. I didn't know if the chip was going to read. I've heard horror stories about starting your watch at the start line, but your chip doesn't read. So your time started when the gun went off. So I didn't know when to start my watch. So I didn't know how much of a buffer I had. So I knew the overall pace was good, but I met a friend around like mile 3. I started talking to someone. I'm a chatty Cathy, so I always make a friend. She was running right next to me at mile 3, and I looked over and I said, "I like your outfit. Your outfit's cute." And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I like your yellow top." And we ran side by side for about 20 miles. And we were talking. She's actually moving to Virginia at the end of the summer. And her goal was as close to 3:30 as possible, and that was my goal. So I'm really glad that I found her because I would have been it made the race a lot more relaxed. I could just focus on running versus look at my watch, look at the pace. Because I had printed out mile by mile each time that I needed for each mile. And after mile 1, I pulled it out of my pocket and I'm looking at it and I'm like, "This is so small. I can't read it." So I I had it so close to my face, like trying to read the first mile time, and I'm like, "I don't know what this says. I don't know." So had I not found her and talked to her for 20 miles, I would have been so stressed about the pace and making sure I got every mile exactly what I needed. Her name was Amanda, so we talked for a while and really, really helped just take your mind off of the race itself and just have fun. So, yeah, it wasn't until the finish line, I stopped my watch at 3 hours, 30 minutes, and 2 seconds at the finish line, and I said, "You've gotta be kidding me." But luckily with the chip time, I got about 25 seconds under 3:30.
That's awesome. I think that a 3:30:02 still would have been a hell of a run.
It was an 18-minute PR. I mean, that was just, your wildest dream. Of course, you go out there and you have a perfect day. It's just I never expected it, but it was fantastic.
So I do have one question. You said that your coach took your pace from your half marathon in Frederick
Mhm.
and said you could run a 7:54. What was your pace for the half marathon that translated to a 7:54?
I
Do you
think
remember?
that I think the half marathon was 7:38 it was a 1:39,
Oh,
something
okay.
around that. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, yeah, and you said an 18-minute PR?
Yes.
That only really does
Huge.
happen in your wildest dreams, right? And then,
Yeah.
my question is, your training plan, did it start, like, did it go all the way back to December, or was it, like, January? What month was it?
It started It started in January. So we had JFK, and then we take a couple weeks off. And then I got the flu on Christmas Eve. I got flu A. So Christmas Eve, I was down. I was out for about 2 weeks. And my training plan was supposed to start in January, early January, mid January. And our coach said, you just had the flu. You're not jumping right back into this. Take a few weeks just to build your base back. And I was panicked. It was only 16 weeks out from the race. I was like, how am I going to train for a marathon in 16 weeks? So I think it was the first 4 weeks was just kind of easy runs. So it was really only by the time the workout started, it was really only a 12-week plan.
Yeah, let's go back to I guess during the race. What like mile markers were you at? What were your responsibilities for crewing that day for Kelsey?
Yeah, so I had a plan to be at mile 9. That was the big the most important place to be at to give her a new handheld with gels and tailwind in it. But the way the course was, I thought that I could make it also to mile 3 and mile 6 just to see her, wave high and then move on to the next one. So if you've ever been to Eugene, Oregon, they have these bikes everywhere that you can rent. And I thought, well, I could probably ride a bike quicker than I could run, right? So gun goes off. I run to pick up this bike, and I haven't been on a bike in at least 10 years. So step 1, that's where I went wrong.
Chris, nothing new on race day, right? That's what we
That's
joked
right.
about all day today. So
Yeah,
nothing new
that
on
goes
race
for
day. Let's
crewing
get a
too.
bike.
So I pick up this bike. I am trying to get up this hill. Like, if you've ever been to Eugene, for some reason, the first half mile of the 5K and the marathon is up a hill. It's not a big hill, but it's a gradual hill. So I have this bike trying to get it up the first half mile of the race, and I am riding the bike slower than the runners who are passing me on the road. And so I'm trying to get to mile 3, and I needed to cross a street, but there were so many runners that I just had to stop and wait. I probably waited 5 or 10 minutes, to be able to cross the street. And then I'm like, okay, I have X amount of time to get to mile 3. And at that point, I knew I was going to miss that. So I text her and I say, I won't be there. I'll make it to mile 6. So I'm heading to mile 6. And same thing happens. I got stuck again. And then I finally got it downhill, and all I see ahead of me is a curb. So I'm going down a hill, and I forget, when you're a kid, you have the bike where to brake, you pedal backwards. But this did not have that. This had
Handlebar.
the handlebar brakes. And so I'm riding down this hill and I'm like, okay, I need to brake. And my brain totally forgot about the handlebar brakes. And so I'm trying to pedal backwards and nothing is happening. And I just go, oh God, oh God. And I ran off the curb while I was like light flashing before my eyes. I was like, great. So I'm gonna wreck. I have no helmet on. I have no like knee pads, elbow pads. I have nothing. I'm gonna wreck while Kelsey's running a marathon, and I'm gonna have to call her and tell her that she has to come get me. Like, so I'm worried that I'm gonna injure myself and not make it to where I need to be. And then Kelsey's the important one here, but I'm gonna mess this up. And so I finally make it to mile 6. I didn't end up wrecking. I somehow somehow stayed on 2 wheels, but the people at the aid station around me all definitely turned around like, "What is this girl doing?" So I finally make it to mile 6, and I look down at the clock and I'm like, as long as it took me to get to mile 6, she's probably at mile 3 at this point, but I'm like, as long as it took me to get 6 miles on the course, I need to leave now to get to mile 9. So I immediately turn around and go back up the hill that I just came from. And like I said, I haven't been on a bike in 10 years. So I get halfway up this hill and I'm like, my quads are on fire. I just ran a 5K the day before. And so I just get off the bike and I just walk it up the hill. I'm sweating. I am so scared I'm gonna miss her. Like, everything that could go wrong is going wrong, but I finally made it to where I needed to be to return the stupid bike. And so I did that. I got rid of it. And I will never do that again.
But you ended up at mile 9, which was the start line. I ended up back at mile 9, which was literally the start line. I biked about 4 miles to get back to where I was. And I never saw her until mile 9. So I did get where I needed to be, but I made it a lot more difficult than it needed to be. So eventually I get back to mile 9 and I text her and I said, okay, I'm at the arch. You literally can't miss me. So I stood where I knew she wouldn't be able to miss me because there were a lot of runners in Eugene. So that was very nerve-wracking. And then I stood there, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes waiting for her. I had the tracking thing open and just constantly watching her miles update. That way I know exactly right when she was going to hit mile 9. So I wouldn't miss her. I was like, this can't be my fault that she doesn't get her bottle.
Yeah.
So it was fun to be on the other side of things, but definitely nerve-wracking. Taylor, my boyfriend, is always my crew person, and he has told me how stressful it is, and I just, never really understood it until now. And I'm like, okay, he does such a good job that I wanted to be able to do that for her. So she did a good job. She gave me my bottle when I was supposed to get my bottle, so it all ended up just fine. That's all that matters.
Katie handles that stress way better than I do. Like, I take it so seriously. You're either like the hero or the anti-hero that day, and it's so much pressure.
It's a tough job.
It is.
It really is. So
Well, it sounds like you learned a lot too. So you're not going to be perfect the first time. After that, though, you'll realize things that like went right and things that went wrong, and the next time you get the opportunity to do that, you'll be a little bit better, at
and I
least
will
a
not
little bit.
not on a bicycle. Not on a bike. I look down at my and I'm like, I could have run this faster. I have her book bag of everything. I've got my phone, I've got all this stuff, and I'm like, I should have just run this. I probably could have stayed on course with the runners and gotten there quicker than I did attempt with the bike. So after that, I got back to mile 9, which was the start at Hayward Field, which would also be the finish. But I knew there was no way I was going to make it anywhere between 9 and 26 and, make it back in time. So I hung out at the stadium the rest of the time and ate pancakes.
Okay, we are gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about the JFK 50 miler. So I know both of you have run the race multiple times. So Kara, how many times have you run JFK?
I have finished 8 and I've started 9 times.
Okay, and then Kelsey, how about you?
I have started and finished 11.
Wow. What made each of you decide to run JFK 50 that very first year you did it?
Our stepdad had run 5 or 6 at that time, maybe even more than that. So he was running it every year, and then our mom started to run it as well. So for a couple years, we would meet them on the canal and we would run a few miles with them, or we would be at the finish line. And then one year, Harry was able to convince us to both register and run. I mean, we had never run a marathon at that point. We probably hadn't even run more than 13 miles at that point. No, a half marathon was the furthest we had run. We had never been to the Appalachian Trail. Nope. And I said, if you've ever met Harry, you know that he could probably talk a rock into running the JFK. He is so passionate about it. The way he speaks about it, you can feel his love for the race, and he truly believes that anybody can just maybe not get off the couch, but he believes that anybody, if they put their heart and their mind to it, that they can do 50 miles. It might not be the speediest day, but a finish is a finish. A finish is a finish. Yep. So that is really how it started. And then you do one, you finish one, and like Harry says, it's addicting. You just keep coming back. I don't know what it is about that race. I mean, there's a lot of things about that race, but it's addicting. You just keep coming back for some reason. There are people who do the JFK once and they never do it again. And there are people who do it once, and if you do it a second time, it's like you're hooked for life. You might as well do 5. You might as well do 10. Then you might as well just keep going.
When you signed up that first year, what did you do to adjust your training? Because like you said, you had never run more than 13 miles. Did you do anything special?
We had, I believe over the summer, we ended up going to the trail a couple times to see, to see that portion, to see the road leading up to the tower, that massive hill. And I was in college at that point. So I remember coming home almost every weekend that summer to do long runs on either the canal or the trail with Kelsey, with my mom, with Harry. I can't remember if I even ran throughout the week in college, but I know Sun or Saturday morning long runs were that's when they started.
Mhm.
2015. And
And we ran our first marathon that October. We did Freedom's Run.
5
Nice.
hours and 3 minutes.
Yep. It was not
So
speedy.
I don't think Freedom's Run is supposed to be speedy. I don't think it's known for that. But great training for JFK.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys started running JFK, did you run together at that point? Or did you run any of it together, parts of it together? Or did you go separate?
Our first year, we ran with our mom. We ran every single step. So it was me, Karrah, and our mom. We started together, finished together.
And then after that, I know recent years you start together. I actually started with the two of you and a couple others last year and stayed together most of the trail. So I know you guys were together over the trail, the AT portion, but then kind of go at it however you're feeling at that point. But did that approach start like right after that first year, or did you kind of evolve into that?
I think for the first few years, we stayed together as much as we could. I don't really remember when we started to kind of do our own thing. I think it was maybe after you had to take a year off.
Yeah, I got injured. So I ended up taking a few years off. And then, so I feel like we have run that race in like every way possible where we stayed together the whole time, where we don't even try to start together because, when I came back from my like 2 years off, I think it was, I just knew, she had 2 extra years of running ahead of me basically at that point. So I knew there was no point in even trying to keep up with her. We've started together and then she likes to get up the mountain quicker than I do. So by the time we get to the trail, we're not together anymore. And then when we get off the trail, it's just, a couple minutes apart. And there have been years where we're each on the canal and we find each other's location and we say, okay, well, we know we're not going to PR this year, so we'll just kind of hang out and wait for the other one. We've done that a few times. And then I think one year we've made it all the way to the road together.
Yeah, I
And
remember one year we made it to the road and my wheels were falling off and she turned her turbo on and she just took off.
so it really every year is different.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get that day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think you guys are right. Like Chris, you know all too well now that like JFK, like you've done it 2 times, right? Yeah, and that first time you were a little nervous about doing it, right? Anxious, and then you came back and you're like, all right, I got to do it again next year. So yeah, for me, it's that same thing. I've done it 6 times now, I think. So yeah, I'm in for life as long as I can continue. What do you love the most about JFK? I can tell you mine real quick to give you a second to think. It's when we come out of the woods. I hate the trail. I cannot wait to get to the towpath and just be able to run again. Chris knows that I dislike it so much. Look, I dislike it so much. My other favorite thing about JFK is that I had you two sign my bib last year because you ran with Katie so many times on the trail. And I figured if you guys can get through it with Katie like almost every week, then I could run it on race day and be just fine. So that's what I love about JFK.
I don't know if I should take offense to that. That sounded a little
No,
bit like
no, it wasn't meant to. Okay, just edit that part out, Chris.
no, don't edit it out.
do you just keep thinking, are we out of the woods yet?
Yes, that's all I yes. One year I got to mile 7 or something and like after Gatlin and I was on that really rocky part and I just started screaming the F word and people around me were like, "What are you rolling your ankles?" And I was like, "No, I just want to get out of here and just get to the towpath to run." Like that's how bad it is. So how about you? What do you love the most about JFK?
I'll say I have two two parts of the race that I really, really love. And one is coming down Weaverton Cliffs, and you're coming through that parking lot, head into the canal, and everyone is there. I mean, you feel like a local celebrity. It is so much fun, and I don't know if people just recognize us from year after year. You know, one time someone said, "Where's your twin?" And I said, "Oh, she's back there," but I don't know who they were. You know, people out here like, "Twins, twins." And so, you know, the same people are there year after year, and they start to learn who you are. So that's one of my favorite parts about JFK. And then the other part is taking that taking the left-hand turn, what, mile 48 and a half probably, off Spielman
Off of
off
Spielman.
of Spielman onto
Lapping.
Lappings Road, and you're starting to come down that hill, and you can see the Williamsport Water Tower. And I get so emotional every year coming because you're almost there. You're what, a mile and a half from the finish line, and we were born and raised in Williamsport. We went to Springfield Middle, so you're coming down that hill and you see the Williamsport Water Tower, and that's one of my favorite parts of every year.
Mhm. I also really like the community that's behind it, whether it's everything. It's the runners, it's the spectators, it's the volunteers. Like she said, people will recognize us, and we don't even always know who they are, but they recognize us. The level of people that come out to watch their runners, but they're cheering for everybody else who's there too. People who have never run 50 miles thinks it's like a superpower that we have, that
Mhm.
we're able to do this. So just the level of support that you feel, it doesn't matter how bad you feel at mile 37, when you get to 38 special,
You get a boost.
it makes you feel better just
Yeah.
having all those people around you. And then getting to finish the race. And like Katie mentioned at Hub City, how you knew everybody. You spent the whole morning chatting with people that you knew from the running community, from, just the Hagerstown community. That's what we have when we get to Springfield. We don't know everybody, but we know a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, I love that finish line. And I could only imagine growing up here, you wouldn't just know runners who are running, but also a lot of people who are out there to support the
Mhm.
local runners. You grew up here, you're local. People are there, and you probably have too many people to talk to. You're probably spread thin and feel like this sense of accomplishment though too after that whole. That's my favorite part. I mean, I love the things that you just mentioned, especially that Weaverton hitting that pavement and that turn into Williamsport. But man, when you get that medal and you're done, you
Yeah.
actually did it. You don't have to worry about like, oh my gosh, what's my time, or am I gonna make it? Or there's none of that. You're done. You accomplish this thing, and it's just so amazing.
I'm excited. The next question is mine. Karrah, one of the things I love about this podcast is, even though I think I know people and have gotten to know them, through the running community, I learn something new every time we do one of these. And I was today years old when I heard that you ran across the country.
So, yes, I do like to always specify that it was a relay. So I did not run 4,000 miles. But so I ran, it was called 4K for Cancer. It is through the Almond Cancer Fund for Young Adults. It's a charity out of Baltimore. So I was on Team Baltimore. We started in San Francisco, California, and ran to Baltimore, Maryland. It was a 49-day relay. So there was about 30 of us. And the way that it works is, each day it's all set up beforehand. So all of the logistics are covered, everything. We had a place to stay every night. Most of the time it was, like a high school gym or on the floor of a church, or sometimes people even opened up their homes to us, which was very generous, to open your home to 30 runners who have been on the road for 5 weeks. Because we had showers, I think all but maybe 1 or 2 days. So, but 30
Yeah.
runners is, anyways, so there was a set distance that we did every day. We go from point A to B, and it's split up in between two different vans. We had two 15-passenger vans. So that would get split in half. The second van would go to the second half of the distance for the day. They would start there and cover that distance. The first half, or the first van would cover the first half. So what happened was there were about 14 of us in each van, and we each got a partner. So when we start at point A, 2 people get out of the van and run 2 miles. The van advances 2 miles and stops. When the first 2 get to that van, they get back in, the next 2 get out and run 2 miles. Does that make sense? So every 2 miles, a different pair of runners was getting out. So between 30 of us, we all covered the 4,000 miles. That's why it's called 4K for cancer. It was 4,000 miles. So no, I did not run all of the miles, but within a relay, we did cover literally from San Francisco. We started at the Golden Gate Bridge and finished at Federal Hill in Baltimore, Maryland. So we ran, through the entire United States.
So how did you get like hooked up with that? How did you have that idea, and then when or why did that become an actual plan of yours?
So I'll give it to their marketing department because I actually found out about it through a Facebook ad. And it was 2017. I was about to graduate college. So it was maybe like January or February. I got the Facebook ad and I thought, oh, a run across the country. Like, what else am I doing this summer? I'm about to graduate, don't have any other plans. So I applied to it, and you had to go through an interview process and, tell them why you wanted to do this, who that's been affected by cancer, things like that. And so I thought for sure, well, I'm going to interview for this, but they're going to have so many other people lined up to do this. I'm not even going to, get selected. But I did end up getting selected. And then you have to raise, it was either 4,000 or $4,500. I can't remember. But we had to raise a good amount of money for the charity, which is, understandable. But I thought that was going to be a big barrier too. So I applied for it, and I don't think it really became real until, one, I was accepted, and 2, I hit that fundraising mark because I was, terrified I wasn't going to be able to fundraise that much, and then what? I wouldn't be able to do it. So that's kind of when it went from just this crazy idea to, oh, I really have to do this.
Did you say this was a summer run, like August, or did you?
We started in June. We
Oh, okay.
started in June and we finished in August.
Oh, okay. All right. And then what was the hardest part? Was it physically, mentally? I guess logistically, like they kind of took care of all that, so that was nice. So was it like more physical or more mental tough?
Yeah, they took care of the logistics prior to. A lot of the team members found lodging and things like that. So for me, mentally, I think maybe if I did it now at 33 years old, it would be probably a little bit more physically tough. But at that point, it was mentally. I was in college, but I was not that far from home. So being on the other side of the country for the first time, knowing that I wasn't going to be home for 49 days was hard. And then all of our meals and snacks and things like that were donated to us. So we by no means went hungry, but we never really knew where the next meal was coming from. It was a lot of like subs and, whatever we could get that was donated to us. So I don't know that I could do that now that I'm a little bit older. And we were sleeping on basically like these little sleeping pads that we rolled out and then packed up every night and, or packed up every morning and then went to the next location. So it was really cool to have. We were in our own little world. When we got back, it was almost like a culture shock. When I got back into the real world after 49 days with just my team members, oh, it was a very odd adjustment that I don't think anybody who hasn't done anything like that can really understand. But so I think it was for me, it was more mentally tough than physically.
Was it like a mild summer or was it like a pretty cruel summer?
It was a pretty cruel summer. You're doing really good.
Ah, thanks.
I caught on when you said bad blood.
Yeah.
Okay, just so everybody knows, our guests are huge Swiftie fans, and I'm trying to work in as many titles of songs as I can. And I'm up to 18 right now, so let's keep it
Oh,
rolling.
wow.
Really?
I don't even know if
Yep.
I got that.
I caught
Bad blood was early too.
back December,
All too
August,
well.
August, all too well.
Wildest dreams.
You did that one.
Yeah.
I did. Tell me why. See, I can work these in. Two is better than one. The one, 22, Out of the Woods,
Yeah.
Daylight, Wildest Dreams, So High School, Love Story, Me, Mine, and Innocent. Those are the ones I got so far.
Wow.
You did pretty good.
I didn't even catch all of them.
No.
All right, so
We'll put
before we leave the story of your cross country journey, is there one story in particular from that you'll never forget?
Yeah, so I was thinking really hard about this. I mean, there's a lot of memories that I'm definitely never gonna forget, like running across the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, that's kind of hard to forget. I don't know that I want to do it again. I don't like bridges. But to at least do it once was very it was very interesting, very fun. And just seeing different parts of the United States that I had never seen before. It's like out west, to me, it feels like a whole different world. So I'll never forget seeing a lot of those things for the first time. And then, of course, coming back to the East Coast, we went through Chicago and Ohio. And then we got to Berkeley Springs. We actually stopped in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, and we stayed at a church. And my family, of course, we live 30 minutes to an hour from Berkeley Springs. My family came out to see me there, and we went to go to eat in Hancock, I believe it was. So that was very special. And then, of course, our last day, I think we each ran about 20 miles or so, but running into Baltimore. So when we were in San Francisco at the bay, we actually like tipped our or tapped our shoes into the water there. And then when we got all the way back to Baltimore, we actually like tipped our toes into the harbor. So it was like we touched each coast. So that was really cool. But the biggest thing is the friendships that I made through 4K. There are two girls, Kylie and Becca, that I'm still really good friends with to this day. It's been almost 10 years. Next year will be our 10-year 4K anniversary, but we still talk regularly. We go on trips together. We, try our best to see each other as frequent as our lives allow. But that's my biggest takeaway is I would have never met those two people. Our paths would have never crossed if it wasn't for 4K. So
That's really awesome. I'm so glad that we got to ask you about that because as many times as we've run together and as much as we've talked, I have never heard that story, and I didn't every time I mention that to Adam, I'm always like, "She ran across the country or something." I just remember it being in the paper, and obviously I had taught you in school. At that point, it was just I don't know, a few years before that, but, now it's been many, many years, and we won't talk about how many years that's been. With that said, looking forward, what are your next big goals for each of you? Kelsey, do you wanna go first?
Yeah. So, well, we're both registered for JFK in the fall, of course. But I'm very, very happy with my time from the Eugene Marathon. However, you always wonder how much faster can you get? So I'm thinking another marathon is in my future. I left Eugene thinking maybe I do want to do another marathon. So when Kelsey told me she wanted to train for a marathon for Eugene, I said, absolutely not. I'll go with you. I don't even want to do the half marathon. I'll do the 5K, sure. But I have no desire to do a marathon right now. But when I left there, I thought maybe I could do this. And that has worn off. Uh, so well, my goal this summer is to just have fun with running, as corny as that sounds. I trained for the Hub City Half and I just didn't love it. I don't know it just, it just didn't click for some reason. So I have some potential 5Ks maybe that I want to do this summer. And I just started going to a gym close to my house. So I'm just having fun with like getting into some weight training because I really don't enjoy weight training either. But as we all know, it's important. I think Very important for runners.
we've all identified that that's something we need to work on. So that is my big goal this summer is to kind of just have fun with it. No pressure, just do whatever I want to do. And then of course JFK will start in August.
Is there a dream race that you two would like to do together? Like just for fun, just go out and run it, but something that you guys would travel to and do together?
I mean, I would love it if we went back to Eugene, Oregon and ran the marathon together, but,
Maybe in a few years.
yeah.
My bucket list race is the rock and roll half marathon on the Las Vegas Strip. So my boyfriend's family is from Vegas. They live in Vegas. And I absolutely love Vegas. I love being there. I love the strip. I love everything about it. So I think that would be amazing to have the strip closed down and to be able, because when we've gone, Taylor has humored me and run, early morning on the strip, but there's traffic. You have to go over all the bridges and all the steps and things like that. So it's not the same. So I think to have the strip closed down, to start in the daylight and to run a half marathon, and then when you finish, all it's dark, so all the lights are illuminated, and I just think that would be so fun. So I'm hoping February of 2027, but we'll see.
Cool. Any distance challenges that either of you haven't tackled yet that you'd like to do?
I don't think so. I know Kara has in the past maybe talked about 100 miler,
Okay, yeah.
maybe on the
I
C&O Canal.
A few years ago, I entertained the thought of thinking about the CNO 100. And now I'm like, I just don't know. Now that I know how to train for a race, I know what would go into it. So I don't think I'm ready to commit to that. So no real distance challenges like that. I feel like we did like Miners Lady 8 hour. We did that a few years ago. I feel like
Those are fun.
they're fun, but I just kind of want to stick to a little bit shorter things right now.
All right. Hey, before we close out and go, Katie is going to do the after party questions. So the way this works is she's just going to ask either a yes or no question or a one-worded answer question. And Kara, why don't you answer them first? And that way we know who's going to answer them first. And then
Mhm.
Kelsey, you can answer them second. And then Katie will just go on. But it's supposed to be just quick, whatever first comes to your mind. If it gets you in trouble, that's up to you to deal with later, just like Taylor. So we'll figure that out. All right, Katie, you're up.
Some of these are twin focused. So it's kind of like whenever you see those questions of couples and they say who's the messiest or who's the, I don't know,
Mhm.
first to get up and whatever. Um, so we'll start with those. Who's more likely to skip a run?
Me. Kara.
Who complains more during workouts?
Me,
Kara.
Who recovers better?
Kelsey,
Yeah, probably me.
Who gives better race advice?
Kelsey.
I would say Kara.
Favorite race distance?
Currently 5K.
Currently marathon.
Favorite pre-race meal?
Always graham crackers and black coffee.
And I do cinnamon graham crackers and black coffee.
How about post-race treat?
Crumpies, chocolate donuts.
Probably like a warm chocolate brownie.
What's your biggest running pet peeve?
People who whistle.
People who like in a 5K when they sprint for like 10 seconds and then they come to a dead stop right in front of you.
Those are good. I was thinking about that. I'm breaking my own rules right here. But I told Adam I found a pet peeve and it had to do with porta potties. We can talk about it later. Anyway, porta potty
Nope.
etiquette. Maybe we could just leave it.
Don't
at
blame
that.
me if I
Yeah.
take over now, okay?
No. Okay. Hardest workout.
So our coach has a workout called the bear. So if you ever see our Strava and there's a bear emoji, that's what it's referring to. But it is 3x3 at half marathon pace. That's the bear.
For me, anything with 5K pace is tough.
How about your go-to hype song?
Karma.
Ready for it.
So that's where the whole idea about putting in the Taylor Swift song phrases throughout came
Yeah.
from. I said, I know both of them will be Taylor Swift songs, just which ones.
Yep.
I'm gonna pick.
Definitely. Definitely.
How about long runs, alone or with people?
Alone or with Kelsey.
Yeah.
Wait, I join you sometimes.
That's fine.
As long as it's not too many people. It just gets overwhelming having to talk to everyone. It's hard to talk to so many people because we're chatty Cathy's.
Oh yeah, that's true. How about your favorite running shoe right now?
Saucony.
Yes, Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Yeah, that's what I wore for Eugene.
One word to describe your twin as a runner.
Kelsey is a robot. That's funny. I would say Karrah is strategic.
Who would win a sprint?
Me. Karrah, definitely.
And then an ultra.
Kelsey. Yeah, me.
And who is more likely to sign up for something crazy?
At this point, we're 33, neither of us.
You guys are such smart runners. That was my last question. And I just want to end by saying these two ladies are so smart at running. They do the best version of starting calm and collected, working their plan, and increasing speed as they go. Robot and strategic were perfect words to describe each other. And it's it works for you, and I really wanna do that because what I do, I mentioned earlier, full send early and then sufferfest, like, halfway through and through the end, and I do have so much to learn from you guys. I have already learned so much through your training when you do easy days really easy and you do hard days hard. I think about that a lot and the fact that you are getting better as you've aged. I mean, you're in your 30s, you're still very young, but you're outdoing your former selves, and it's wonderful to see. I cannot leave this podcast without saying that Kelsey's marathon, I am so jealous and happy for you at the same time. And I told Adam the same thing because that was an amazing display of patience and hitting your splits and but also the hard work you put in. And I know Kara's put in the same work, but that marathon's like big like what I want to do. So
Yeah.
because if I do that, I'm old enough to BQ, but that feels so far away from me, but you do give me hope. And I want to thank you for the inspiration, the training miles, being on the podcast, and all the things. You both are a really important part of my running journey right now. And who would have thought like 17 or 18 years ago, or probably 16 or 17 years ago when I had you in class, that this is where we'd be?
Never, but
Yeah.
I'm so happy and I'm thankful and I hope
Yeah.
that you come back to our Tuesday morning workout soon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, hopefully soon I'll be back.
What form?
We're very fortunate to have you in our running community.
Mhm.
It's only been in the last few years that we really start to run together again, and it really has changed things. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Especially on the trail,
Yep.
the FAFO group.
Yeah, our FAFO group has really helped. Big
Yeah,
time.
and I told Adam just today or yesterday, I think we were talking about it, and I said, like, you guys talked earlier that you have no competition. I love it whenever we can all be out there and not feel like a competitive vibe. We can
Mhm.
just kind of work together. Like in the Hub City half, Kara was behind me until like mile 11 or something, and I just was waiting for her to come past me because I knew it was gonna happen, and when you finally did, I was nothing but happy for you. I just cheered you on, and it was
Oh,
great, and it was that typical start out calm and put it into a different gear that I no longer have at the end, and it's really inspiring to see.
Well, personally, I think that I am the lucky one that you take Katie on the weekends from me so I can go spend time with
Oh,
Chris. And I think Chris and I are going to have to talk on the next podcast about how much we enjoy running with each other and how it's always the best day when we're out there, whether it's in September. It just hits different running with Chris. That's
It's
all.
nice to have a friend. Yeah.
wait, I know the twins listened to the podcast, and they heard you say you were left all alone when Chris
we did
went
hear that.
We
to
did.
Oregon.
I know. Well, he's back now. Okay. He's done with
Oh,
the
I
red
know.
threes. He's back. He's back. All right. Well, ladies, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having us.
This has been a lot of fun. I knew Adam was going to throw those titles in, so I was trying to keep it together. I lost it a couple of times, but this has been a lot of fun. And I really appreciated the conversation. And I will echo what Katie said. I have enjoyed following your all's running journey on Strava. I take a lot away from the workouts that you all do. And so I hope you know you're inspiring lots of people around the community with just how positive you are and just how hard you're working. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Very kind words. Thank you.
Mhm.
So if we see the bear emoji, we know it was a hard workout. If we see the
Yeah.
poop emoji, we will not ask questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I got in 25 song titles. 25.
Good for you.
That's good. I'm gonna have to listen back and count them all.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
That's all for today's episode of Tales on the Towpath. Thanks for joining us on another run down memory lane and along the C&O. If you've enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep your pace steady and your stories flowing.